Hey, we're back. So I wanted to readjust my timing so that instead of this super fast bounce, I want to bring it back to where it was. So this is just going over what we just covered, but just to remind you guys, I'll go ahead and drag this back to where it was, which was 17 originally. And this goes back to frame 9. And it's hard to see, but this tells you the current frame that you're on. So it says 9 here. And then remember how to adjust this range back out. You hold down the Command key and click and drag out that way. So now we're back to the original timing that we had, which feels a little less frantic than the 9-frame version. And what we're going to do now is start adding some in-between frames and break this animation down a little bit. So what we're going to do to break this down is just find the midpoint between these two frames. And we're just going to keep subdividing. This is a nice way to work so that you don't just start doing frame, 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 but you find the midpoint and then the midpoint and then the midpoint. So you can break down your animation that way. Animators, to that end, tend to like odd numbered ranges of frames because you've got a nice clean midpoint. If it doesn't work out that way, you can get over it, but sometimes you have to do it on even numbers, and that's fine. But if you have a choice, it's kind of nice to do it on odds. Makes it a little bit easier to find the midpoint. So there's our midpoint, and I'm just going to right-click and add a new blank keyframe. And just as happened before when we put our new one in, there's that empty circle, so the ball will stay the same over these ranges, drop out over those ranges, come back at the bottom, and then play out. So what we're going to do is we're going to add an in-between, and I'm going to turn my onion skinning back on. We're going to add an in-between that's between these two extremes. Here's the beginning of the animation, here's the midpoint, and so I want to get something that's going to get the ball halfway in the timing on the way down. But now this is the first time we're going to really work with spacing. And so what you don't want to do for this animation is put the ball smack dab in the middle, which is what you think you would do here. So for your midpoint, we don't want to put the ball here. No, bad. But actually it's not that bad, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to adjust the spacing in Flash. So as we talked about in class, timing and spacing are probably the biggest issues that people don't really grasp, and they think, oh, I've got a problem with my drawing, but really the drawings can be cruddy, but as long as your timing and spacing is tight, then the animation's going to look pretty dang good. So what I'm going to do is, right now if I play this back, looks okay. There's nothing really hideous about that. But what I want to do is I want to get more of a hang at the top. And so the way to do that is by not changing the drawing, not changing the timing, but change the spacing. So what I'm going to do is take this, and I'll just be lazy and use the cursor keys with the move tool, and just move this up so that it's spaced closer to the top and farther away from the bottom. I'll turn this off, and you can see it looks pretty good. So I'll go ahead and find the mirror of that. So this was on frame 5, so frame 13 is going to be when the ball's bouncing up. And, I'm going to go ahead and set it pretty much at the same spot. You don't have to, but, I'm kind of lazy. So I just redraw it here. There we go. Oops. All right, I just did the classic mistake here, so this is good. This is a real-world demo. So what did I just do? I moved my playhead to the right spot, but as I drew this out here, I noticed, oh, there's no keyframe here, and that if you look at this, if I turn onion skinning off, I've got a frame with two balls in the same frame. So when I play this back, woo, yeah, two balls. There you go. All right, so don't want that. So what I want is I need to have a keyframe at 13, and I need to get rid of the ball that's here. So I'll go here to 13, right-click, and this is what I forgot to do first. See, easy to do in good old Flash here. Insert a blank keyframe. Everything disappears. Go back to the midpoint, which is where I drew the extra ball in there. Select the extra ball, edit, cut, or Command X. Go to the new blank keyframe where I actually want the ball, and now use my very favorite command in the world, paste in place. Command Shift V. This is a very useful command for animation, pretty much for precisely this reason, that you'll want to adjust things in the timeline where you make a mistake like this. But this just fixes it for you, because you say paste in place, and it pasted it just right where it was, just in the right frame now. So that was a good example of a mistake that I'm sure 90% of you will make at least once. Now I do it all the time. And we play it back. And so we've got our spacing adjusted so that it's going to give us a slower bounce at the top, and that looks pretty good.